All right, I'm gonna explain 4 simple yet critical marketing tactics that if you miss them, it could destroy your business, but if you master them, it could make you a millionaire. And believe it or not, they're super, super simple, so you can implement them right now. Forgive me, I just woke up, so I'm a little groggy, but I had to share these with you because they're some of the things I had to learn to become a millionaire, and I just saw them on full display in the presidential election. And that's why I'm going to use this as a way to explain this, because it's a perfect example of breaking these rules. Now, by now you know that Trump won the election, and you might be thinking, how the heck is that possible? He, convicted felon, all this court stuff, all this drama. Well, it's because he followed these very basic rules. And here's the funny thing. When he went against Hillary, she broke these rules. He followed them. Trump won. When he went against Biden, Biden followed them. Trump broke them. Trump lost. And now Kamala broke them. Trump yet again followed them, and Trump won. And I followed these rules, became a millionaire, and then I started breaking them, and then business didn't go so well. And now I'm back to basics, and we're doing better than ever. All right, so the first rule is to give the market what they want, not what you think they want. So in the campaign between Kamala and Trump, Kamala, or however you say her name, sorry, she was focused on things like abortion and women's rights and all this stuff. And the truth of the matter is, maybe that was the main issue years ago, right? But right now, in America, the main issue is the economy and borders. 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 And so when you sell a product to a market and you're talking about why they should buy that product, you don't explain to them the benefits that they don't care about. You explain the benefits that they do care about. And I'm not saying no one in America cares about abortions and women's rights. I'm saying that's not the top issue right now. So if you want to win the presidency, you got to talk about the thing people care about the most. That's how you get in the door. And so Kamala went to the playbook of all these very classic things that they're still talked about, but they're not the hot topic. The hot topic's the economy and the border. That's where she made the big, big mistake. Even on CNN, which, as we all know, is heavily slanted towards anything left, has an article, it's called Analysis, Why Kamala Lost, and literally the headline is, "It's the economy, stupid." Like literally, she barely talked about the economy. She's talking about women's rights. It's like, dude, like, yes, that's an issue, but it's not the issue right now. And the lesson here is, if you want to be rich, you sell a product to the right people with the right message at the right time. All right, the next 3 rules are actually a part of a 3-part framework called 𝐶𝐽. Now, this is a very old school copywriting rule that is followed by the old guys. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. For most of you who are into actual marketing and copywriting, you think that you know marketing, but the truth is you don't know anything really. You got to go back and you got to read like Gary Halbert's stuff, Dan Kennedy, Bill Glazer, like the guys that created this stuff. So if you really want the sauce, you got to learn what the original guys taught, because there's way more sauce in there. Anyway, 𝐶𝐽 goes like this. So the first one is, any marketing campaign cannot be confusing. That's the first C. So Trump's message is very easy to understand, right? It's like, oh, you want to stop illegals from coming into the country, build a wall. Now, it doesn't matter if you agree with that or disagree with that. What matters is it's simple. It's easy for people to wrap their brains around. And Trump speaks at a 2nd or 3rd grade reading level. So literally, all of America can understand him, and he gives very concrete, some of them are weird or you may not agree with them, but very concrete answers to certain things, like I'll build a wall. Iran, for example. When Kamala was asked, how would you stop Iran? She goes, don't. Just don't. All right, that's confusing, because what does that mean? Trump goes, I'll bomb the shit out of them. Very direct, very simple to understand. He'll bomb the shit out of them. Okay, boom, got it. That's what he'll do. We don't know what Kamala will do. Better to go with the devil you know than the devil you don't. And people were not confused about how Trump could make the country go in a better direction. And again, you can get value out of this video even if you hate Trump, because the thing about it is, he hit the pain points. He hit economy and border. And if economy and border are the top issues that the market, the American people, face, and all he talks about is how to fix those two things, then there's a very non-confusing way to see how he would, in theory, fix the country. But with Kamala, she's just all this word salad, like classic, inauthentic politician talk that it's just in one ear and out the other. All right, so the next one is unbelievable. Now, this is another reason why the word salad presidential speech strategy is no longer working. And you know, Trump was on Joe Rogan recently, and Rogan said to Trump, he's like, I'll tell you why you're so popular. You're so popular because when you speak, you can tell that you're just a normal dude, and you're just kind of saying how it is. And when Kamala speaks, or most politicians, it's this very like fake kind of inauthentic sound. The fight begins today for a greater America, a stronger America, America. Whereas Trump is like, I'm gonna bomb the shit out of them. Let's build a wall. You know, the thing about that guy, look, he was an idiot, but you know, he did some good things. Like, this is normal, how normal people speak. When you break the rule of being unbelievable, it's hard for somebody to buy from you because it's hard to believe Kamala or people who do that presidential talk. It's easy to believe a guy who is just like, yeah, here's how it is. Agree with him, not agree with him, that's a different story. Well, you might say, well, we shouldn't bomb the shit out of Iran. Yeah, but do you think Trump would do it? He probably would. All right, finally is boring. So, any marketing campaign can't be 𝐾𝐽. It can't be confusing, unbelievable, and boring. Now, I want you to imagine a scale, all right? And here's where I went wrong. If you are boring, then nobody wants to hear you, listen to you. Whatever your message is, they won't hear it because it's just way too boring to even think about. You need to be exciting. You need to be entertaining. But there's a difference between entertaining and extreme. If you go too extreme, then people just think you're crazy. And look, Trump teetered on this in his first run. He definitely went way too extreme on his second run, and in my opinion, that's why he lost. And he toned it down a lot in the third one, but Kamala went too extreme. Really, the whole left went too extreme. Let me give you an example. Even if you are an extreme right-wing Republican, and you wear camo pants every single day, and you got a Confederate flag hat, the works. You can still understand why gay people would want to get married. You may not agree with it, maybe you're super religious, but you can understand it. You get it in your mind. You're like, oh, okay, two people, a dude and a dude want to get married. I understand why they want to get married. Agree with it, not agree with it, I get it. But 5,000 genders, non-binary flying aliens, whatever, like that, it's hard to understand. It's too extreme. And I get it, I understand there's a very tiny sub-decimal point of America that truly believes in those concepts, but most of America doesn't. Heck, I've got a ton of gay friends that think it's wild. And so when you start saying things like defund the police, and look, defund the police was a horrible campaign because what it actually was supposed to be was stop putting excess money into police departments to send people out to calls that police don't need to be sent out to, and instead put that money into other personnel. So if you have a domestic dispute, if it's not like already reached a bad point, send out a counselor rather than a policeman, saving the policeman for like the actual shootings and stuff, and not just a simple argument with a wife or a neighbor yelling at somebody or whatever. So that's at least my understanding what defund the police was supposed to be, but they called it defund the police, which just sounds so extreme. And so whether it's good, bad, you agree with it, you don't agree, it doesn't matter. It just sounds way too extreme, and it goes way into that zone, and now you're gonna lose. You're not gonna make the sale, it's too extreme. 5,000 genders, too extreme. Being able to change your gender at 12 o'clock and 4 o'clock, your kid having a bad day, so maybe you're a girl, you give them drugs without the parents' permission. Again, all these things are just too extreme, and I get it. Like, maybe some of you watching right now believe in this stuff, and that's cool. I have no problem with you believing in whatever you believe in, but what I do have a problem with is you breaking fundamental marketing rules. And fundamental marketing rules would state that's just too extreme of a message. You're gonna lose. Maybe in 100 years you won't, 50 maybe, but right now, you're gonna lose. It's just too extreme. Now, me personally, when I started my business, I was very entertaining. I did a lot of wacky stuff and it built my business. Then I got too extreme. I was doing stuff that was like way out of line and it hurt my business, especially with people who were higher ticket buyers. Then I tightened it up and now business is great. So even I am no stranger to breaking these rules. And look, all of you, when you learn these rules, you will eventually break them because they're hard to follow. They're simple, but they're hard to follow. Human beings generally tend to make things complex rather than being simple. We tend to say things that are a bit unbelievable. And sometimes we tend to go to extremes. And most importantly, we tend to push our ideals and what we feel somebody should think on them rather than care about what they actually think. This is human nature and it happens in marketing and sales all the time. When you break these rules, you lose customers. Now here's something you may not know. Millionaires in America, in record numbers, are leaving America. Not only are they taking their businesses outside of America, but they're just moving outside of America. Now I personally moved out of America several years ago. I live in Dubai now, but I lived in Costa Rica for a while. I've been out of the States for some time. And the reason was, for me, things just got too extreme. One day, I was walking down the street and there was a family festival. Now, in downtown St. Pete, where I lived, they closed down Central Avenue and they do this like family fun festival thing. And it's all about families. You bring your kids, there's like vendors, it's a whole thing. At the time, my son was about 4 years old. We're walking down the street and there was a booth with a bunch of drag queens. And they weren't just men dressed as women, they were men dressed as strippers because all their stuff was hanging out, like fully exposed ass and their junk was very visible and they just looked wild. One of them walks up to my son, leans down and starts talking to him, a 4-year-old. Now, to me, if a female stripper came up to my son dressed all sexual, I would be equally as pissed. Because my son doesn't need to see that. He's 4, dude. He needs to be watching the Disney Channel. Well, actually, now that I think about it, he probably shouldn't be watching the Disney Channel either. The point is, I look at the guy and I say, listen, dude, get away from my kid, dude. You're not dressed appropriately. I'm very angry right now. Leave. And you know, the guy was cool about it. He left. And the thing is as a father, man, that really irritated me bad because I don't want my son to see that, especially in an environment where it's supposed to be family friendly. And like literally, kids are this tall, right? If you're a full-grown adult and your junk is kind of hanging out or bananaed, the kid's at eye level with your junk, right? It's not hard to understand. The kid is literally looking at your banana package. It's right in his face. We don't need that type of behavior. I go home angry about the situation because I personally experienced it. And I see on the news that there's a drag queen, trans, whatever booth at this festival and how brave it was. And I'm just thinking, my God, man, American culture has just gone out of its minds. And that was the moment that I really was like, all right, you know what? I'm out. I moved to Costa Rica, never experienced that. Life is chill, life is great. Then I moved to Dubai. We go to Costa Rica in the summers, and that definitely doesn't happen in Dubai. Don't do that in Dubai. And so yeah, agree with me, disagree with me. That's a personal story of how America lost the sale for me. Now, who am I? I'm nobody, right? But the point is you have droves of millionaires and just people moving out of the United States, taking their money elsewhere because they broke, America itself has broken these fundamental rules because they've gone so far in the extreme left that the whole country got sick of it and just knee-jerked right and boom, Trump wins. So to summarize, figure out what your market actually cares about and talk about that if you want to sell to them. Don't make it confusing, make it ultra clear. Don't make it unbelievable, make it easy to believe how it could happen, and don't make it wild and crazy. And don't be boring, but don't be so extreme that people just think you're insane. So as a professional marketer, that's my breakdown of how Trump won. If you like this video, there is a more in-depth business training link in the description. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.